Friday Night Live on the 4-day game of the opener of the Major League playoffs. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy, and hopefully some actual full sentences that make sense instead of whatever the hell I just said. Anyway,
it sounded like you had the dog do the opening.
There's 4 games today, I think is what I meant to say. So we're jumping on for quick hits. Follow us on the Facebook group.
Italian.
Yeah, I don't know. I botched it in every language. Go follow us on the Facebook group where we're streaming this live. And if you haven't joined that, go do that. If you want to just check out the audio as well of our archive and all the episodes, subscribe/follow us on Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all that great stuff. And anywhere you find podcasts, we're there at Diamond Diehards. So, dog, we're into this now. The Yankees have been put to rest. The cardiac Cardinals are done, and we're already 2 games. The Astros already have 2 wins by the time we're talking. Like, we can't even look up, and the Astros are already up 2-0 in games in the American League Division Series against the Chicago White Sox. And the topsy-turviness of the Boston-Tampa Bay series is completely upon us. And, of course, Giants-Dodgers about to begin very, very shortly at the time we're doing this. And the Brewers with the 2-1 victory over the Braves in Game 1, dog. So we are here. We've made it. The Yankees are gone. The Mets are gone. But we're still here bringing it to you because we're baseball freaks, I think. Is that right?
Exactly. And what a great start to the playoffs, you gotta say, right? We had 2 the Yankee Red Sox was maybe a little disappointing, but Cardinals Dodgers just about as exciting as you can get. Other games were all very, very, very close. Tough battles the entire way, and frankly, this Boston Tampa Bay is looking like maybe the winner of the day so far. So pretty good day for baseball fans.
They're usurping the the beginning of the Giants-Dodgers series here because so this game I was so this is like we're just doing quick hits, so there's not we're not gonna jump into veteran of the day or do Die Hard Dads, but I'm gonna do Die Hard Dads. So I'm running around with Dominic and producer Xavier, and I'm at Micro Center getting some tech stuff that I don't need, but apparently my children do.
Oh my!
And
off the wall.
Listen, we can't give play-by-play, but it's a shot off the wall.
This again, Kike.
And so I'm watching, I'm pulling up on my phone. I'm like, okay, I got to see this. The Brewer game is about to end. I'm trying to pull that up on my phone, and for some reason it's giving me an error through the MLB app. But what's not giving me an error is the Red Sox Rays game. So I'm like, all right, I'll just check that out. And it's the first inning. The Red Sox are up 2-0. The Rays load the bases. There's 2 outs. Chris Sale is there. And you're like, all right, Sale will figure his way out of it. Gives up a single. And, of course, the Rays third base coach holds the guy up, even though he probably could have scored. Like, completely the opposite of what, Phil Nevin did for the Yankees in the wild card game, where he just totally blows the mission. And this is even with 2 outs. And the next guy, Jordan Luplow, comes up and hits a grand slam. And I'm like, 5-2. Yeah, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And, of course, there's 9,000 million tweets about how the Rays are so frustrating to play, and it's all the Red Sox people tweeting what the Yankee people usually tweet. And then, by the time I get home and eat my food 5 trips later after Micro Center, Burger King, Matthew's Diner, gas, I mean, I get home and dog's like, I'm in the room. I'm like, I'm taking a couple more bites. And then I look up and now the Red Sox are winning 8-5. So I don't know. So they solve the Rays, but like nobody else gets to. I listen, this is what makes you into a baseball junkie. Like the White Sox, it looked like they were going to come out of their shell earlier in the day. and they have Craig Kimbrell in a 4-4 game. They got him from the Crosstown Cubs. He's been a shit show since the trade, and he was basically his, you know, 2011 self, like with the Cubs this year, and he just gets himself into trouble, and he gives up a big homer to Kyle Tucker, and all of a sudden that game's like 9-4, and you're like, what is going on here, you know? So maybe actually he might have come in a five, it might have been 5-4 by the time he came in, because Bummer was in there first. So there you go. The Astros are up 2-0. And Dog, you got to check out the. I think you were at the baseball field, right? But you were able
I
to
was
check out the end of the Brewer game, right?
I was out there, did a little walkie walk while future intern Michael was out practicing for a fall ball, and then came back and popped on. I actually had the Braves and the Brewers on, so I popped in like I guess bottom of the eighth caught. So then I got to get the Hater top of ninth, and he was kind of wild. He was missing. I mean, he was a little, you know, missing effectively a little bit, but he did wind up walking Freddie Freeman to start it off, and then got a couple of guys to chase, and then Freeman got the third, 2 outs, and then got the key ground out to hold it. So real nail biter there. But a great classic sort of National League 2-1 sort of pitcher's duel down there.
Well, and the thing is, the reason why both of us seem to end up on the Brewers for our National League World Series pick had to do with the pitching, right? I mean,
Yep.
and at the end of the day, Josh Hader's the best closer that anybody's putting out there. He's a little more tested, and even he's not been perfect.
Yep.
But it's listen. So each of the NL teams are missing a key player, at least a key player, right? Acuna is the biggest one far and away for the Braves, but they've also had far and away the most time to adjust, including having their whole outfield remade at the trade deadline and all those guys performing pretty well. So it's not as new to them, but it's certainly affected them in this game, right? You're just managing that ninth inning differently, maybe if he's there,
Yep.
and you may be managed a little bit different heading into it, depending on what he's done. But Devin Williams for the Brewers, I mean, that's a huge loss because he sets up Hader. But the thing is, so many times, Dog, we've seen it that a playoff team that's on a run, like that almost opens up an opportunity for somebody else kind of out of nowhere. And if a guy steps into that role and starts outperforming what you've expected him to do before, then it ends up being not as big of a loss as you thought it would be. Or if the starter is pitching 8 innings and going straight to Hader, or if you're going starter to Hader, then it's that's an easier one sort of to like overcome. In the Dodger Giant series, you got the two first basemen, right? Brandon Belt and Max Muncy, probably the best hitters for either team this season. And, they're both out, but they have so much depth, those two teams, that, both managers were even saying, yeah, it hurts. We'd love to have him here, but I think we could piece together people and, probably be all right. So, when you lay it all out in a 3-game, I mean, a 5-game series, you need to win 3. And when you're the Brewers and you've banked that first one in a situation where you got by the what would have been the Devin Williams spot, that's a huge win.
Yep.
That is a huge win. And it's not just a huge win for the series, Dog. It's a huge win for them going forward, confidence wise. Like you'd think the game that it would hurt them is like a 2-1 type game
Yep.
where Craig Counsell, has 3 studs, but he's keeps them on generally a short leash. Well, he's got to either lengthen the leash or find somebody else to bridge them to Hader. And Williams is the guy. I mean, he's been the best guy 2 years in a row doing that by a long shot, except for maybe one little slow stretch. And he's not there, and boom, the first game they win 2-1. Their confidence has to be zooming at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, very, very, very gutty one. And especially even with Hader, that like I said, he was not, yeah, he was not crisp. I mean, you can see he was missing the spots and stuff like that. Inconsistent. I mean, then he'd have like a great pitch the next pitch, right? But yeah, to go out and have that, and it went right down the heart of the order. So he faced right there. So that yeah, that's a huge one for him to get over that hurdle. I mean, it kind of opens up like like your number 4, number 5 starter or something like that, right? Like a lot of times in the playoffs, that guy comes in and all of a sudden like he can take a real quantum leap because you know what? Instead of going out throwing 5 innings for you, all of a sudden he's like an inning or two guy that can come in and really let it fly. So we'll see if maybe that's what the Brewers try and do in this one.
So Corbin Burns goes six. He allows 2 hits and 3 walks with 6 Ks, and it's 6 scoreless. Adrian Hauser comes in, and he gets him through the seventh and the eighth, gives up the run, and that gets them to Hader, who Dog says is a little shaky, but they get through. Charlie Morton, who's like Mr. Playoffs over here, he's effective, but he gets the quality start for allowing 2 runs in 6 innings, 3 hits, a walk, 9 Ks, and Jackson and Matzik finish up with an inning apiece, scoreless, but it's enough to get the Brewers through with a couple in the seventh there. So that we're on the Tampa Bay game here, and folks, we can't do play-by-play, but man, do we want to do play-by-play for this game? So bad. The Rays just like before the Red Sox even realize what hits them, the Rays just when they totally ray them in the first game, 5-0. Rosarena becomes the first player ever, Randy Rosarena, to homer and have a straight steal of home in one playoff game.
That was insane.
And, this was like a cheapo trade that they made with the Cardinals at the end of 2019. And this guy basically, he was great in the second half of the year. I think he was fourth in the AL in OPS in the second half of the season. But it's under the radar because, like, nobody talks about the Rays. I mean, they were never challenged in the division, really. It was, once the Red Sox dropped off in August, you knew the Rays were going to win the division, and they just cruised to it. They have all these guys that like you've never heard of, but he just stands
Not
out.
Gaetti had a great line on that. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh
Because
no,
the Rays lead the league in players you've never heard of getting a big hit.
yeah, it's true. I mean, they
Exactly.
just
Who?
situational baseball, situational hitting, and a Rosarena sees that the shift is on. He's able to get a lead, probably what, a 40-foot lead, Dog, would you say, something like
Yeah,
that?
it was a
So
big one, and you could tell that the organization had scouted that too with the pitcher.
yeah,
So he was able to get, which again is just a sign of a good organization, right? That they put the right information to their player, and he's able to take advantage on the field.
and look, if you want to go back to see what the Rays are going to do when they have a guy on third with a lefty pitcher on the hill, watch the friggin' World Series tape, guys. I mean, Clayton Kershaw,
It's
eh,
almost like I've seen this
like
before.
basically that's the biggest play. That ends up being the biggest play of the World Series, right? Where
Yeah.
Muncy gives him the signal, and Kershaw breaks his delivery, throws home, and caught stealing at the plate, and now the Dodgers are on the way to the trophy. This one wasn't even close. like
Yeah,
like
he totally had him on that one.
he would yeah, he slid, it looked nice. I mean, but he didn't have to do any of that stuff. He probably could have stood up if he wanted. The only reason he didn't stand up is because he probably didn't want to get hit by the ball. It is funny though, Dog. Some of the things you see, like if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that the leadoff hitter for the Atlanta Braves in their first playoff game this year was going to be Jorge Soler, I would have been like, "What? How did this happen?"
Oh
Yeah.
man, talking about
Uh,
everything come up roses for that one.
Nevertheless, he's there. And he did have a walk. He doesn't really walk that much. But they're limited to 4 hits. I mean, I could see that happening again. And by the time we're on the air again, Dog, I mean, these series might already be over. You and I are, we have weekend. We're not doing Die Hard Dads today. Okay, listen, folks, we can't do play-by-play on Die Hard Dads. But you and I have a big weekend packed in with family stuff. So I don't think that the at the earliest anybody would see us is maybe until Monday night. I don't know what your Monday's like, but or I don't know, depending on your
Columbus
schedule,
Day. Got wide
maybe
open.
Monday day.
Maybe one day. I'm not
I don't know
hanging
what
home.
your
They hang out at the happy place. I'm
big
gonna
day
get a little
for
gonna get a little fire going in the happy place. I think after the show.
Columbus Day, big day for the Italian folk.
There you go.
We're not going to get into what other days we have. We don't have any. That's it.
That's it.
Everybody go eat pizza on
Really
Columbus
time.
Day. So we got this, this Rays game against the Red Sox seems to have stabilized at 8-5. Um, it doesn't look like we're rolling in the Friday Night Live traffic. I think we're losing out to Friday Night Lights. But Dog, I have a funny one for you.
There are two
So
games on.
yeah, I know. But usually we're more exciting than the actual games. Like, who wants to watch the stupid games? Uh, let's see. Have we gotten any comments yet? I think just you and I.
That's gone.
Uh-oh.
How?
Oh, Hawk finally he comes out of the bullpen. Tanner Hawk comes out of the bullpen and he's been basically untouchable. And Ji-Man Choi takes him deep. And now all of a sudden the Rays are back in business. So they're within 8-6 in the sixth. To give somebody a feel. Anyway, if you're watching, I want you to look at the hat.
Apple taco.
I want you to look at the hat. And your dog says it's hard to see because of
Bring a
the
little.
get a little glare. But
There you go. Now you can kind of get it. Yeah.
so I'm wearing my New Jersey Devil hat because uh, our pal Ted, who friend of the show, he part of the Fordham crew, although he didn't go to Fordham. Probably. That might be a decent way to put it. Some might argue it. Um, we had our thing for many, many years. And the first time we would talk after the Yankees elimination day would be we would just declare it hockey season. We're like, okay, hockey season starts. Devils, like we're right on. We're just jumping right on. And so I thought it was apropos here that the first show after that, I'm going with the Devils hat. And then it also works in reverse. Once the Devils are done with their season, it's like, oh yeah, baseball season started. Yankees, we're in our Yankees
It's been
stuff.
tough transitioning from the Mets to the Giants. I'm not gonna lie. last several years,
Well,
it was pretty good in '16. That was about it.
yeah. See, the football is too concurrent. Like it's too big. Like I gotta rep my Giants stuff too often. I mean, basically, if you're not wearing it ahead of the
Coming off the
first
winning
game,
streak.
if you're not wearing it ahead of the first game, you're not wearing, like, it's the only time that we've been undefeated since like 2012, right? Like they've lost the opener like every year.
Pretty
Um,
much.
but the thing about baseball is the postseason. So we're talking about hockey a little bit, right? And hockey's postseason is great because it's such a grind, and the Stanley Cup is like the most impossible trophy to win. Like you got to give literal blood, sweat, and tears to win that thing, right? But it takes like 2.5 months of playoffs. Like there's so many teams. Every series is a 7-game series. Some years, like 5 series in the first round will go 7 games, and it's amazing.
Hockey
But
in June.
like by the time you get to the conference finals, you're like, wait a minute, who did they play in the first round? Like baseball, I mean, by this time next week, by the next Friday Night Live, if such a thing will exist, I mean, we're into the ALCS and the NLCS. Like we're there. Like no matter what happens. I mean, I think there's enough domes and good weather spots to kind of cover that, right? I mean, I could be jinxing it. There could be 12 rainouts in a row, but I doubt that's going to happen even. So baseball like moves along. You got to pay attention. If your team's not going, there's another game on, and you don't necessarily have to flip around to 4 games like you're trying to do on a day like today. You're into one. The White Sox Astro game gets you warmed up if you're working, and you have a chance to peek at the other screen, or you're looking at your phone, or if you're a fan of those teams, or just a crazy baseball fan, and you're putting it aside, and you're saying, okay, I'm putting aside whatever I'm doing because I want to watch this game or pay some attention, and then you're right into Brewers Braves, which is a compelling series, and the year that the great Hank Aaron passes, the two teams for which he played will battle it out. And then you have the whole idea of the big bad, big payroll Red Sox, although not as big and bad and highly paid as they have been in the past, but a flagship franchise against the $60 million Rays who spend no money and still beat the pants off of everybody, right? And then it's Giants Dodgers. The 213 wins. I did see. I think it was Sarah Langs on Twitter. She did put out. She did say that the 213 combined regular season wins are the highest. I had done a little research. I can't remember if I mentioned it on the show or not, but I had done the research and I found the high number before this to be 212. I didn't scour it completely, so I wasn't sure that I was able to go to that number and say this was like the number one. But I saw Yankees and Padres, the 90, what was it, the
98, right?
98 World Series. That
Yep.
was the 116 win Yankees against the 98 win, no, 96 win. Oh, wait a minute. That was 114 for the Yankees, not 116. So 114 plus 98, so that was 212. And the 2001 Mariners against the Yankees in the AL Championship Series, and that was 211 because the Mariners had 116 wins, and the Yankees had 95 that year. And the Yankees won both of those series. So the two former New York teams, one of them will have the distinction of winning a series between teams with the most combined victories in the regular season. But the whole thing's just compelling. I mean, it's not just that it's the Giants and the Dodgers. And
Yep.
I think what's interesting too, Dog, is, rivals when they were here, linked forever as they moved out west. The Mets, take their own
Founded from it.
colors
Yep.
from each of them, one of the main colors from each. Like even if you just look at the two logos that you mainly see on MLB.com, you just the colors are right there. It's like so evident. If you didn't know that, we're telling you, that's how the Mets got their colors. Um, and like I was listening to Bill Simmons. I listen to Bill Simmons a lot, and he was saying one thing. He's a Massachusetts guy by trade and by growth and birth, and he's been out in L.A. for 20 something years now, I think. And he's like, the thing that really caught him by surprise is how great that rivalry really is, and like the two fan bases like really really hate each other. They really get fired up. We think of California as being like laid back, but man, when it comes to Giants Dodgers, like you gotta like what I mean. There was that awful incident a few years ago, right, with the beating in the parking lot and
Yeah.
that man nearly losing his life and over a baseball game, right? So they take it seriously. I mean, they're playing for real. They hate each other. The Dodgers come in as the slight favorite, believe it or not, with one less win and no home field advantage. And that should just be a great series. And I think most of the games are starting like in the 9 o'clock hour uh, on the East Coast. So it's going to be a little much. Like on the weekend, you could probably stay up no problem if maybe you get a little break in some of these games if they're low scoring and they move fast, but exciting nonetheless, and we get to share in that a little bit. So you and I will be, I'm sure, with the toothpicks holding up our eyes, trying to get through some. I do something called sleep watching. Like I have the game
What
on and
now?
I'm
What
in
is sleep
bed.
watching?
I have the game on. I am in bed, and I'm not like even. I know I'm gonna fall asleep anyway. So I just like sort of give in, and I keep the volume. It's low enough that it's not going to wake up Deb, and but it's still enough that when the announcer like makes a peak, it there's a good chance it's going to wake me up like right as the play is happening or right after the play is happening. So at which case I could just pop like the 30-second rewind button and catch the moment sort of. So I do that. Like I commit to that. I'm like, I'm sleepwatching this game. I know that I'm not gonna like so I don't even try to fight it. I'm like, I'm just laying here. I know I'm gonna wake up when, somebody says something or there's a big play, and if not, then, Usually I'll wake up like right after the game ends, like somebody I know, somebody I know just did that, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So tell us
Except I
about
only
that.
I only I only sleepwatched for an out. Fortunately, it was the last out.
Tell
Actually, I
us a
didn't
little.
miss the out. I missed the at bat.
Tell us a little more about that dog. Which at bat was that you missed?
We were slugging through, watching the Dodgers, and then I just couldn't make it. I got Kelly Jensen the top. I was snoozing out a little bit. Woke up, got 2 outs. I'm like, all right, and then guy on. I'm like, oh, I gotta focus in here. I was out, and then I wake up to the celebrations. I'm like, boop, 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 boop. It wasn't too bad. I missed it about 2 minutes or so. So and then got to see the homer, and he did thrill me.
Luckily for me, Cody Bellinger's stolen base woke me up.
Actually, I even made it to that. Actually, it was the last thing I've ever seen.
Ah,
Was the stolen base? I mean, I was that close. I
so
was like,
I'm like in and out. Like I kind of got through the Jansen inning, and I was like okay in the Dodger inning because I was like, wow, I can't believe they took out Gallegos because we talked about that. I was
yeah,
like, well, Gallegos, if he is a little susceptible, but they might try to use him for more than an inning. And his pitch count was really interesting me, and he cruises through the eighth. I think he let one guy
yeah,
on.
like it was like 12 pitches or something like that.
12 pitches, 10 strikes, and he looks great. And I'm like, oh man, they if they can get this
Lucked
to the
out, yeah.
10th, like their lineup, looked like it was going to flip into the right spot. And and he comes out, and McFarland comes in the lefty. I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing? And sure enough, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but everybody kind of knows what happened at this point. I mean, they left Gallegos out there like he was going to start the inning to draw the pinch hitter, Gavin Lux, and then they go to the lefty McFarland, thinking, okay, probably they're going to use Pujols, so they've burned Lux completely, or they get the lefty on lefty. So he uses Pujols, and Pujols hits this weird knuckler that like looked for a second like it might go out, and I was like tweeting it. I tweeted it before. I'm like, Albert Pujols is definitely going to be the last batter of this game, right? One way or another. And I mean, it wasn't a completely unique thought. I saw some other people really calling for the walk off, but he got it to like the warning track on the line drive. And the next guy was another righty, and he made it out. I can't remember who it is now because it's already, we're already into these like next games, right?
Yeah.
And then Bellinger comes up, and now I'm like fighting it. I'm like, oh, he walked, and then the next thing I know, Reyes is in. I'm like, oh, how did he get there? How did he get there? And he allows the stolen base, and that wakes me up, and I'm watching Chris Taylor, and he hits it. So what I thought was cool too, as people know if they watch us and listen to us, like we're big, longtime Mad Dog Russo fans. We love to do the imitations, but I do listen to him pretty much every day. And he started the show the day after the NL wild card game, dog. I don't think you heard it, but he is ripping Mike Schilt for not leaving Gallegos in. And I'm like, this is the one time I wish I was listening to him live, because then in the second segment, Steve Phillips comes on and says what I was gonna scream at him, because I happen to like that home run now kind of like woke me up, and now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave it on, and if I fall asleep, I fall asleep, but if not, like I'm just watching whatever's there, and I see Schilt's post game press conference, and Schilt explains that Gallegos cracked a nail, and it's been like a recurring issue, and the nail cracked on him apparently again, and he couldn't go out for the ninth. So he's like, so I sent them out. They don't know he can't pitch. I send them out there knowing he's going to use Lux. I bring in McFarland, and yeah, he figuring he's going to go to Albert, and he brings up Pujols, and then he's got to get the other righty, and he gets both righties, and then he walks the lefty, and so and then it's history. So C. Phillips actually like thankfully corrected the dog. But if you happen to listen to that show, he's doing this opening rant on Chilton. He's like totally inaccurate. She's a bad job of the dog,
Good
bad
job on the
job.
doggy.
And now the Red
Uh,
Sox looks like they've gotten back that run, dog.
baskets. Hey, baskets. Yep.
Oh, we
Apple,
got oh,
apple taco.
oh we got some people with us now. I wasn't
There
looking
we
at the
go.
comments.
Looking them up here.
Elias Butler.
There we go.
Butler goes, she could have gone to sleep once Reyes came in. Guess what? I did.
There you go.
Okay, Butler given the Gallegos fingernail issue. Yeah, and apparently it's been an issue all year. So, like recurring. So that kind of sucked. I mean, that was a tough way for the Cardinals to go, but even to be in that situation and to almost fight it off, I felt like if they got to the 10th that they were going
Would
to
have got
win.
it.
I just did. I don't know why. I mean, they might have done nothing, but I just felt like they were going to do it. Anyway,
Nice, nice.
you win 17 in a row in September, and you make the playoffs when kind of you looked like you were left for dead, and then you just run into a 106 win team, the greatest second place team of all time, the defending champs. I mean, you couldn't really have asked for a better game, dog. To me, that was a except for one reason, that was just a good old fashioned baseball game. And the only
Yep.
thing that wasn't good was that it was too long. It was like 4 hours and 15 minutes in a one
Three
run
one
game. But
game.
it was just played like that. Like
Yeah.
you just were waiting for the other guy to blink, and you kind of knew that it wasn't going to happen. And the Cardinals didn't even really blink. I mean, they just kind of ran out of ammo at the end. I feel like, and the Dodgers and the Giants are not going to run out. They're not going to run out of ammo against each other. I think. When I say ammo, I know I'm speaking Elias's language. He's on there. So thanks for chiming in, gentlemen and ladies, if you're out there. Um, all right, dog. What can we expect for? I know we gave our predictions, and we both actually predicted the Giants
Lucre,
to
right?
advance, or did we? Or did you pick the Cardinals to beat the
I
Giants?
picked the Cardinals, which is why I'm toast.
Bad job on that. So you got no rooting
Yeah, that was
interest in
aggressive.
this.
That was aggressive. Yeah. So
I do have the Giants over the Dodgers. I can't imagine that series going anything other than the full 5 games. And I
yeah, I would agree.
liken it to one of these really great matchups in the UFC that's not for a belt, but it's close. You're like, oh my God, these guys or these women should totally be fighting for the belt, and it happens to be not a main event, so it's not 5 rounds and it's three. And this is like, oh my God, why can't they just change the rule and make this a 7 game series for us? Like, can't they? You know? So they won't, but
Yeah.
Giants Dodgers is exciting. I got to say the Giants in 5 since I predicted the Giants. But now, dog, I'll give you a chance at redemption since you lost your winner of this series. Give me it. What do you got?
I'm sticking with you. I'm gonna stick with the Giants. I don't want to jump in on the Dodger bandwagon. So I'm gonna stick there next year.
All right,
Taking the Gins.
that'll make Debbie Rizzo happy. She
Yeah.
hates the Dodgers. Met fan that just despises the Dodgers more than any other thing is kind of funny. I gotta
Yeah, I don't
say.
know if I hear him that much, but more it's more like it's hurtful, right? You see the leprechaun out there, he hitting every like huge home run possible and stuff. So it's like, what could have been? What could have been? Um, but yeah, I mean they don't chase Utley anymore, so it's not quite as bad. But we've let that slide a little bit, but they did have Trevor, so we got a little. We might have gotten the better of that deal.
I was gonna say, well, and that's and
It was
and Butler
we,
just
we weren't very
commented.
happy at the time.
Look at Butler's comment as you say that. You said that without seeing his comment.
What I listening is talking about. That is true. Well, we are.
Well,
There
you
you
got
go,
to say you
Butler.
got to say it because people are listening and they might not be reading the comment, dog. So you got to
There
read the
you go.
comment aloud.
This is what Riz has to show me. So Butler going and saying, no one I listened to is talking about Trevor Bauer's absence.
Although we did mention
Here we are.
on the last show that maybe a half hour before the playoffs started, he broke his silence and he did put out a video. Now, what that means in terms of his return is that's still, way off and it's not going to happen in the playoffs. Um, I think he'd have to mend some fences inside his own locker room first before that even happened. If he was cleared and
He would need
exonerated
to
of
not be convicted first, too.
right, he's got to
That
be
would help.
exonerated.
Not
But
being
listen, I mean,
incarcerated would help.
his
Get on
his
the mound.
his camp and now himself. Look,
What
he's
else?
been silent for a long time, and he comes out and makes a statement, right? So he could have made that statement a while ago, but he got some kind of ruling that went in his favor. So somebody in his camp has to feel at least a little bit of optimism for him to come out and make this carefully worded, kind of carefully worded. I think he's a real pro in front of the mic and the camera. So it looks like it's maybe not as carefully worded, but it's carefully worded. Like if you get a chance, and you happen to watch it, and you know what, if you didn't want to turn it on and give the guy a click, I don't blame you either. Half of me is like we shouldn't even bother talking about it because he's not there, and we need only be concerned about the guys in the field. But you know what? It's part of baseball's story of 2021, and what he did in the off season was one of the things that drove a lot of our shows. What was he going to do when it came time for him to make his decision between the Mets and the Dodgers? And he opted for the Dodgers, and why and how, and the thing that went up on the Mets website, and it was he basically had agreed to terms with the Mets, but decided then to not go there. I mean, look, the Mets shit show, right?
It would have been a lot worse.
A lot. I mean, you look at everything that happened with the Mets, and
You'd
you know
have
what?
you'd have no Syndergaard or no Bauer, no Bias if you had signed Bauer. There's no way we're
Right?
affording those guys that way.
No, no
So
way. No way.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean, you get the salary relief, I guess, if he's not playing
y-
and stuff. But
yeah, you don't know. I mean, so
who knows?
listen. He's a lightning rod, and um, we just got to let that part play out.
Yeah.
Far, far away from baseball fields, and
Yeah.
the Dodgers. Listen, they obviously knew at the time of the trade deadline or before it that they were not going to be seeing him again this year, which is the only reason then that you'd make such a huge deal for Scherzer and also for Trey Turner. So they're the rich are really really rich, and that's going to make a lot of people pull for the Giants because they're constructed completely differently. They're just spare parts and also Rands that have had glory years that are putting it all together again, and they're a bit of a Cinderella story. I just hope the Giants don't end up playing the Rays. It's like the two Cinderella teams in a way, right? Like, but that might be what it ends up. I mean, listen, if anybody gets to play the Astros, it's kind of easy, right? Like then you just root against them.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Doc. Pretty interesting stuff.
Good start to the
As
playoffs.
Yeah, I
Exciting,
think we're
exciting times for baseball fans.
and we jump on and we did our 15 minutes, which turned into how long? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Dog, it was so quick. It was so quick. You didn't even rename yourself.
That
You
is
could still
true.
do it.
I saw it like 20 minutes in. I'm like, yeah, just
You could still do it because sometimes what the Zoom does afterward, it actually puts it on from the beginning, whatever you ended it as. So just throw it up there. Make the change. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you do it.
how long does it take the dog to do this?
I don't know, but we
It's like
got
one minute.
dog. If you wanted to send out your Twitter handle, like old school, right? Like you wanted to send out a card and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be at an event. I want to hand out some cards to people or a little, special like a pen with my Twitter handle on it."
Nice, that's a good
Is there
idea.
like a
I like
is there
that.
like a is there like a website that you could go to that would like specialize in printing and promotional material
Promotional
that you could
needs.
think of?
I
Yeah.
would think the best one that I know of would be FMS Graphics.
Oh yeah, fmsgraphics.com, of course. How did I not think of that? Yeah, so go check them out, fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. And
Family
yeah,
owned, over 50 years.
yeah, owned and operated. And dog, you got the bland background sometimes, right? And Now we're
Something up
doing
here.
so many.
You over
Well,
here.
we're using the virtual backgrounds, but sometimes you don't want to use a virtual background, right? And we're taking all these taking calls and meetings from our home, our office, or our home office. You need to jazz it up a little bit, dog. Right? What do you do?
Absolutely.
It's 2021. What do you do in 2021 to help do that?
You go to sportsmaps.com. I think it's .com,
How,
right?
how would you? It said the way you said the word maps and
Just
sports maps sounded a little different. How do you spell that?
maps with the Z.
Oh, maps with a Z. So sports maps with a Z.com for a wonderful piece of sports related art for your home, your office, or your home office. That's very good, dog. I like it.
Are
I
you sure?
like it. Yeah. And say you're like one of those people that has, your package is like not delivered to your house. Like maybe you have like a PO box or like a PO station or something like that. And you got to drive around town. And,
I thought
you
we had a
know,
new sponsor. I'm like, oh,
people are going to see you, right? They're going to see you in your ride. And they might be potential customers of yours.
you want a dirty
You,
ride?
you don't want a dirty ride, do you?
Come on.
No.
No, no.
So let's just say your PO
I mean, I
box
just power
happens.
washed the Boy Scout trailer. It looks great. So what am I going to haul it with? The dirty truck? No,
Oh, you can't do that.
no,
So
can't do that.
say we're coming up by Passaic and Bergen County in New Jersey. What would you do? Where would you stop if you had to make a little
I'd
stop off?
whip in there and go see Big Ed.
Uh,
Big Ed's Car Wash, home
why do
of the huge tunnel.
they call him Big Ed because his tunnel is big and it's long and it's wet and soapy and waxy and,
Only
and
daddy stuff
green
like that.
and and green.
And environmentally friendly.
Very. Big Ed's Car Wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Tell him Diamond Diehards sent you. All right, dog. I think that is probably good enough to wrap it up for Friday Night Live Quick Hits. I think we got everything in we needed to get in. Follow us at Diamond Diehards everywhere on social media. And if you want to join the likes of fmsgraphics.com, sportsmaps with a Z.com, and Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, maybe check us out on LinkedIn. Send us a message there. But just get a hold of us any possible way you'd like, and we could talk about opportunities that are mutually beneficial for us. And we have enjoyed those three relationships very, very much here throughout our first year and a half, or two baseball seasons, two full years worth of baseball in terms of that we started before what would have been the 2020 baseball season. They played 60 games, but we've been around for what if they played a full slate, this would have been our second full season. So if you want to also follow the actual content, YouTube's a great place. The Facebook group or the Facebook page are excellent. Just look for Diamond Diehards there. And
See our
if you're
smiling faces.
if you're an audiophile, iTunes, very popular there, and Spotify, and everywhere else that you find your podcasts. Well, except for the one place that Uncle Paul keeps asking me to put it, and I haven't gotten it there yet. So just go to the damn iTunes and Spotify, please. Just make it easier on us. And you could stream it from there. Like if you're going on your walk or whatever, and you're worried about um, your data, you could download it. If you're not worried about your data, you could just stream it. It's you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to live stream just to do
It's
that.
like
But
we're walking with you.
yeah,
You like to
yeah,
walk. I like to walk.
those
Stick your
apps
camera right there.
those apps will stream it for you. So that is going to do it. A Friday Night Live as we leave the air, top of the eighth in Tampa. Red Sox holding a 9-6 lead over the Rays. The Giants broke out ahead of the Dodgers 2-1. All right, we
Nice.
got to shut this damn thing down because we got to get on it. We got to get on there. We got to start
I'm
watching
missing all
these
this
games.
baseball.
Yeah, I know. All right, that will do it for a Friday Night Live, the first playoff edition of Friday Night Live, and hopefully we can jump at you a few more times here during the playoffs while the games are going on. Uncle Paul did sneak in to check in. He did remind me of the one app in the comments that we are not on as predicted. So
Do another one.
you could just check the show out. It'll be up very, very soon. This was a quickie.
He follows us like 5 different social medias. You got plenty of us.
Uncle Paul's the best. Okay, he's the best. All right, it's gonna wrap it up.
TikTok hero.
That's gonna wrap it up for the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.